Alright, this section is going to talk about properties of real numbers 1.7. I'm going to close up 1.7 with algebraic expressions. And again, the green stuff is stuff we did in the first video. The blue stuff is what we did in the second video. And now we're going to talk about algebraic expressions. And we're going to just fast forward through the slides that we've gone through already. So here are the slides we've gone through. We're going to talk about algebraic expressions. So this is kind of some terminology that's going to be really important to remember what things are, because we're going to talk about some things, and terminology sometimes with math is sometimes something that trips people up. So if we're talking about an expression, this entire thing is an expression. Everything in the red box is an expression. So what's an expression? The expression is negative 7x squared plus xy minus 100 is the expression. The expression is, let's say, half of maybe an equation. An expression does not have an equation. This could maybe be half of an equation if we had an equal sign and then something else over here. But this is an expression. No equal sign in an expression. What are the terms in this expression? An expression is made up of terms. Terms are separated by subtraction. Separated by, addition and subtraction. So, what are the terms? We've got variable terms, we've got constant terms. We've actually got three different terms. Here's one term, negative 7x squared. The other term is plus xy. The third term is minus 100. Some of these are variable terms, some are constant terms. A variable term has variables inside of it. So what are the variable terms? Negative 7x squared, and you'll notice that the sign comes along with it. The term is separated by addition. So here's the addition. This is the end of the term. So the first term, negative 7x squared. Another variable term would be plus xy, or just simply xy. So those are two variable terms. One term is up here, one term is up here. Terms are separated by addition and subtraction. What are the constant terms, or what is the constant term here? Constant terms don't have variables. So what's our constant term? Negative 100. That would be our constant term. The only term that we have that's constant is negative 100 because it does not have any variables in it. What are the coefficients? Coefficients are the numbers that are in front of, usually in front of, variable terms. So what are they? The coefficients of negative 7x squared would be negative 7. That would be the coefficient. What's the coefficient of plus xy, or xy? The coefficient of plus xy would be plus 1, or just 1. Because remember, if there's no number written there, we have to assume there's a 1 there. If there's no plus sign, we have to assume it's a positive sign in front of it. So if this were simply xy were the term, because it could be an xy. If we didn't write the plus, we'd have to understand there's a plus sign there. We'd have to understand there's a 1 there as well. So the coefficient, the number associated with that xy, would be plus 1 or just 1. What are the factors of a term? The factors of a term are, remember, factors multiply together to give me a term. So the factors of, let's say, negative 7x squared, the factors would be negative 7 and x squared. And you could say, all right, well, it could be negative 7 and x, or negative 1 and 7 and x, but essentially, when we know that these negative 7 and x squared multiply together to give me negative 7x squared as the term, then these are the factors that multiply together to get me that product, or that term. What are the factors of xy? Well, you could say that it would be 1, but certainly there would be an x, certainly there would be a y. So 1 and x and y are all factors of xy. So xy factors out to 1 times x times y. So those are the factors. A couple things to remember then. The whole thing here is called an expression. Expressions are made up of terms which are separated by addition and subtraction. And we've got variable terms and constant terms. Variable terms have variables, constants don't. Coefficients are the numbers that are in front of a variable term. And the factors of a term would be the things that multiply together to get that factor, or to get that product. Expressions and terms are going to be the important things. Factors as well. Factors really are factors that multiply together to get any kind of product. Alright, one thing that's really important for this section is like terms. If we talk about like terms, again, terms are things that are things in an expression that are separated by addition or subtraction. Like means that they have exactly the same variable and exactly the same exponents on those variables. So if you take a look at something like this, here's an expression. An expression is a collection of terms. There's a term, there's a term, they're separated by addition. So are these like terms? Like terms have exactly the same variables. Again, here's a term, there's a term. Like terms have exactly the same variables to exactly the same powers, and sure enough, x to the first power, x to the first power, yep, they are like terms, so we can just simply add them up. And this will give us 7 plus 2 times x, or 7 plus 2 is 9x. If we've got like terms, we can add them up. So that's a 9x. There's our answer when we add those up. If we are talking about this expression over here, that's an expression. Expression is a collection of terms. So there's our expression, a collection of terms separated by addition and subtraction. Are these like terms? Like terms have exactly the same variables and exactly the same exponents. So there's a p to the first, a p to the first, a p to the first. These all three are like terms because they have exactly the same variable to exactly the same power. So if we add these up, it'd be minus 2 plus 3 minus 1. Again, there's an unwritten 1 here because there's no number written in front of that variable. So the coefficient, the number in front of that p variable, is 1. So those are our numbers, those are the coefficients that we add up of the variable. Negative 2 plus 3 minus 1 is negative 2 plus 3 is positive 1. Minus 1 is 0. P, and that's equal to simply 0. So when we add all these up, negative 2p plus 3p minus 1p gives us 0p, or 0 times the variable gives us just simply 0, or to be not looking like a donut, that's our answer, is 0 when we add up these three like terms. Alright, here's our summary of algebraic expressions and like terms.